Welcome to the Hollywood Persona Podcast. Here are your hosts, Mitch and Ant.
Hard time taking you seriously with those glasses.
I can take
They're,
them off. I don't even need them.
they're fine. No, they're fine. They're just so big on your face.
I know they look very big in the camera, and I'm like, I can't believe I ever worn them. Like, because I wore them the other day on camera, and I'm like, look at
I'm
your
sure they look
fucking
fine with
face.
certain outfits and stuff. Like, I'm not
Yeah,
telling you they don't look good. They're just
no,
large.
I don't need them there. I just I hate my hair right now, so it's just kind of distraction from my hair. But all
Well,
right,
and to make you feel better, I have a pair of my mom's glasses because I haven't been to an eye doctor in so long because I don't have insurance and you can't go to doctors if you don't have insurance here. So, yeah, I know, right? So I ran out of contacts months ago, but when I drive at night or go to see a movie and I sit in the back, I want to have, a little zoom in. And so
yeah,
she's like, here's an old pair of mine. So I'm wearing, women's glasses. So
jeez, okay,
whatever.
well, all right. Let's. I won't make fun of you for that. I promise. So, 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Hollywood Persona. My name is Mitch. I'm one of the co-hosts of this here podcast, and my other co-host, my only co-host, is Ant. How you doing, Ant?
Hey, Mitch, doing great. It's that
Good.
time of year. We got some good movies to review and more keep coming out. So I'm
Yeah, we
excited.
got some really cool stuff today. You went to something cool today that you're going to talk about here, but I'll tell you the movies we are reviewing today. Uh, we review movies here. We also do movie news and tell you what's coming to theaters and streaming, what's streaming now. We try to give you a little of everything. So if you're a new listener or whatever, we happy to have you. Um, so today we're going to be reviewing Maestro, Bradley Cooper's directorial movie starring him and Carey Mulligan. Ant saw that. May December Godzilla Minus One, Saltburn, Fallen Leaves, Dream Scenario. Ant saw Brighter Summer's Day, which was assigned to us by Matt Volts. And I saw It's a Wonderful Knife. And then I'm going to review the box movie, which is Orca, assigned by my mother, actually. So we got a lot of good ones. Ant, why don't you tell us about this whole Roger Deakins thing?
Sure. Yeah, that was really cool. So Roger Deakins is a two-time Academy winning Oscar nom Oscar winning cinematographer, but he is like a seven-time nominee. He has
Hmm.
directed a whole bunch of great movies with amazing cinematography like Blade Runner 2049, 1917 more recently, a whole bunch of the Coen brothers movies like Fargo.
Are those the
Um,
two he won for? So 1917
I think so,
and
actually. Yeah, because
2049?
I
Because I
remember
remember.
when he was
Sorry.
winning. No, we're probably going to say the same thing. I remember when he won, people were talking about, "Oh wow, how has he not already won?"
Hmm. I remember I first kind of became known of him because he did Skyfall, I think.
He did Skyfall, he did Prisoners.
Yeah,
Um, he,
Prisoners. Yes.
he's just done so many. You look up his filmography, and it's incredible.
Indeed.
So he was and is coming to Atlanta, the city that I live in. And I thought I now know why. It's to promote a book he's done, and it's a book of
Hmm.
his photography, his stills, his black and whites. But he and his wife, who goes by the name James, which is interesting. Her real name's Isabella something something.
Hmm.
Her real name's like four names, so she goes by James Ellis Deakins. But anyway, she was a script supervisor. She's now a cinematographer. They kind of work together. Um, they do a podcast and they have something like 200 episodes. And I've known about it. I've never listened to it, but I remember when it started. One of my other movie podcasts mentioned it, and so they're doing a little bit of a tour. I don't really know if they're going into to any other cities, but what they're doing here is they're doing a few nights where they do a interview and Q&A before they show one of his movies.
Okay.
So So that's the event that I went to tonight, and I had bought the ticket 2 months ago. I've been really excited for this, obviously, to see him in person and get to maybe ask a question or just listen to the wisdom that he can share with his 50 something years of work. He's an older British man now. He's probably like 70 in his 70s, he looked like. So I got to the event pretty early. So the movie was supposed to start at 7. Got to the event early because I wanted to sit up front. I wanted to sit really close, and I got there like an hour and 20 minutes or so or more ahead of time, but there were still like 10 people in front of me. I didn't really mean to get there that early, but traffic around here is so unpredictable, and I had to leave at 5 o'clock. So anyway, the event was really, really cool. It was a sold out showing. They had a pretty large auditorium that seats, I don't know, 400, so something like that, 400 or 500 maybe. And what they ended up doing was just doing the portion with the Deakins team before they showed the movie. The movie they were showing, and this is the part, Mitch, that I mentioned to you was a stupid thing I did. The movie they're showing tonight is The Man Who Wasn't There.
Right.
And I was looking forward to it because I hadn't seen it. It's one of the Coen Brothers movies I had never seen. So then I go to review it afterward, and I realize we fucking reviewed it for this show.
Did you watch it? I thought only I watched
No,
it.
we both did. We both did. It was assigned. I have a review for it.
I thought I knew I had watched it, but I didn't know you had.
Yeah, and the more like as it went on, I'm like, oh yeah, James Gandolfini and Scarlett Johansson. Like, yes, now I remember us talking about the movie. I think you saw it before I did. Like, I didn't get to it quick enough.
Mhm.
But this was back in May of this year is when we did
Yeah.
it. So yeah, so that was so funny. So I ended up not staying for the full movie because we had just watched it this year, right?
Yeah.
And really the main reason was because they did all of the Q&As at the beginning. So I'd seen everything. Me staying would just be me watching a movie in 35 millimeter that I saw earlier this year.
Yeah, that's okay. So that's why you were done so early and we're
Yeah,
recording now.
exactly. But I did overcome some anxiety and ask a question.
Nice.
I asked,
What's your favorite color?
I asked, hey man, I'm a big fan. I love Blade Runner. What's it like working with this director? No, I asked both of them what it's like to be nominated and attend the Academy Awards. Is it nerve-wracking? Do you write your speech ahead of time? Or do you go
Nice.
off the cuff, And they basically said that it is really nerve-wracking initially. He says he's been now several times, so
Mhm.
it's gotten a little easier. But he's like, when you go in front of a crowd of that size, and everyone's dressed up, not just because of who people are in there, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of pressure. He said it was, and he just said it was a really cool experience, and he's glad he's done it. And he said he was like grateful that they honored his work. He seemed like a pretty humble guy and very down to earth.
I think people like that kind of have to be like you don't get to his
Right,
status as a cinematographer very often. Like we don't know how many other cinematographers can you really name
right.
unless you are into that. So for him, like as movie lovers, like I well, I know some, but you know,
Yeah, there's a few, but you're right, not many.
yeah. So yeah, that's really interesting. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it was cool. It was cool. I'm trying to think. So, and they were selling his book. I'm not that interested in the book, so it's all black and white shots, and it's shots he's taken over the years, not necessarily from his movies.
Okay.
So that doesn't interest me that much. They showed some of them up projected, and a lot of them just didn't look all that interesting or exciting.
Hmm.
So, and the book was like, I think $60 there,
Hmm.
which I'm sure is much, much less if you get it anywhere else. But it was still
So
a
what you're
really cool
saying is
experience.
rush out
He's
and buy it.
showing, they're doing it another night tomorrow, showing Prisoners, and then another
Nice.
night showing something else, one of his other ones. So, yeah, it was really, really cool. I'm glad I went. I would definitely do it again. The ticket was something like $30 before taxes and fees, so it wasn't cheap. It
Yeah.
wasn't a normal movie ticket.
Yeah.
But I think it was still cool enough. I sat right up front, so I, got to see
He obviously
everything.
didn't stay for the movie.
Exactly. And I was
Yeah.
wondering if he would, but I heard him say a few words throughout saying the movie you're going to see and stuff like that instead of saying the movie we're going to see.
Oh yeah, he
So I
probably just
knew
fucks
like,
up
oh, they're
both.
leaving right after the interview, so I can too. Again, because I just saw this movie, So yeah, so it was really cool. It was really, really cool. I would definitely do it again. I hope they do other series like this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was fun. So that was Roger Deakins and his wife, James Deakins.
Nice. Does she? What does she do?
So they met when she was a script supervisor, and you know that role?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So listeners, they go through the scripts and make sure everything that it was talked about gets filmed. Cross it off, so
right.
that
Yeah.
they don't get into the editing bay and say, "Oh shit, we didn't say when this character says this." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't really know. I don't know the concrete details, but the way they were presented and the way she talked was that they both now work on these movies like
Yeah.
1917. Although he is the only one that accepted the award. But yeah, so yeah, and their podcast is called Team Deakins. If you guys want to look it up and listen to it, I think it'd be pretty interesting. He's gotten on some cool guests, of course, because of who he is. So there might be a few episodes out there I'd love to listen to. A question I wanted to ask, but I didn't, was what is the division of labor on a set between the director, the cinematographer, and even the production design? Right? So like let's say you're about to film a scene in this room I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it that decides, okay, should the candles on my table be lit? Should the speaker be there? Should there be posters on the wall? And then, is it filmed from the corner? Is it filmed from the ground? Is it filmed from the sky? Do we zoom in?
Yeah.
Do we have a tracking shot? So I really was curious. I wanted to ask who decides how it's shot, right? Because you think the director is the end all be all, but the cinematographer is kind of there to tell you to do with the camera to explain things without saying it, how the character's
Yeah.
feeling. And then even lighting, when you light either one half or one side of someone's face to show that maybe there's a darkness in them. Yeah. So that's one thing I want to learn more about in filmmaking.
No, I've always wondered that too. Like what the division of labor is like actually, and because we give so much props to the director, but I don't know how much the director does, and then it's like how much was done by the cinematographer or production design. And there's a whole lighting department, but are they
Yep.
just there to run the equipment? I don't know.
Yeah. And I think the answer is probably it depends. I think
Exactly.
it comes down to like how well they mesh together. And I think that the cinematographer's job is the one that is looking in the camera, and then maybe the director is looking at the monitors and stuff, right? I
Yeah.
think that's how it goes. But and
And then
maybe
sorry.
no, you go first.
I was gonna say, and I know like some directors that will look at the camera instead of the monitors and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and then I think maybe the answer also is to like they decide that stuff during storyboard part of it,
hmm
right? When they're
hmm
drawing out how the shot's going to go, that's when they say, okay, the camera's going to be here, it's going to move in at half when the actor says this line. So that's what I would guess, but I do want
yeah,
to learn more. I think that would be cool.
yeah, me too. Um, she has 13 script supervisor credits, um, 3 editor department credits, and 2. Yeah, and that's it.
Okay.
So she might be there helping him, but
Yeah,
probably not all the time.
but officially he's the one.
So I'll get into news. Some big trailer news. Probably the biggest one. The trailer for Furiosa was released. That is the sequel to, well, not the sequel. It's actually a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road. This is starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth. Hemsworth looks like he's actually acting in this movie for maybe the first time in his life.
Damn.
Yeah, I watched the whole trailer.
Yeah, what
And
do you
then
think? So yeah, tell me about it.
it looks good.
It's not George Miller, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, he
I'm
is?
pretty sure.
Oh, okay. So I'm surprised to hear that because I remember the reason this movie took so fucking long was because like some protracted legal battle.
Oh, Yeah, directed by George Miller.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great.
And that's why I heard it took so long, is because he wanted to direct it, and he did. He wanted to be the one to do it, and he's an older man, so uh, yeah, it looks really good. Looks really interesting. You see the bad guy from, what's his name, Imperator something.
Oh, and Morton Joe?
Oh, and Morton Joe, yes. So you see him, like a young version of him in the
Great.
trailer.
Oh, great.
Hemsworth looks like he's playing someone cool, and Anya Taylor-Joy looks like she's, very sandy and dirty, and uh, she has a shaved head at one point. It looks like, but like has hair for maybe most of the movie. I don't know, but it looks good. It looks really good. So,
Yeah, so I've only seen that one picture I sent you
mhm,
before the trailer. I guess it was the first images, and I
yeah,
was pretty impressed. And I'm gonna try and avoid the trailer. I'd like to
I
go into this knowing nothing.
yeah, I just watched that one because of my excitement, and then I said I'm not gonna watch another one. So I watched that one. Another trailer that was released was Godzilla X Kong. So I guess it's Godzilla times Kong, because it looks like they're on the same team. I watched this trailer as well.
Hmm.
They go down into the center of the earth basically, and there's other monsters and a bigger Kong, and that's who they have to fight, kind of like a big monkey of some sort, like
Okay, so
really
they'll
big.
team up to.
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna team up. Looks kind of cool. You're
What'd you
gonna
think of
talk
the
to.
last one or last two?
Um, I like them all. Honestly, I think my favorite is maybe Kong Skull Island, because more of an adventure movie. But I like Godzilla versus Kong as well. The other ones, the characters are just so badly written,
They
and you
really
just
are.
don't care about them.
You mean you don't love the character podcast?
What? Oh, is that
Oh,
his name?
I guess that was from Ghostbusters, but Brian Tyree Henry, doesn't he play
Right.
podcaster?
He- I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure
He's
he
in
does.
he's in this next one.
Okay.
So, and then yeah,
Okay. Anyway, yeah.
this one
What
could be cool.
do you remember when this one comes out? Actually, it's probably summer 24
Oh
or
shit,
May
I thought I
24.
wrote them down, but I didn't. Yeah, they both come out next year, some point. Furiosa, I don't even know if it has a date yet. But anyways, and then a trailer for the Amazon Prime show Fallout, the based on the video game. They released a trailer, so I didn't watch it, but I saw some screenshots. So you can go look those up right now. Those three are big trailers that are available now. Macaulay Culkin was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and his Home Alone co-star Catherine O'Hara was there to celebrate with him, as well as his family and his wife, Brenda Song. I know her. She was in like the Sweet Life with Zach and Cody. I don't know.
Yeah,
Did you
she's
ever
been in
watch
a few
that?
things.
What's that?
Yeah, she's been in a few things.
Yeah, yeah. So, they're married. I didn't know that, and they have a kid.
Cool. Okay.
Um, Over 1,300 actors and artists have signed a letter condemning Melissa Barrera's Scream 7 firing as unfair censorship. Olivia Colman is among the biggest names, so that's interesting.
Wow.
You
Do you
sound a
see
little
them reversing
quiet. I
it?
don't
Do
know.
you think it's possible they reverse it?
Oh, there you go. I don't know. I don't know. It'll be. I think they should,
Yeah.
but we talked about it a lot last week,
Yeah. Yep.
so
Yep.
Um, Nicolas Cage has stated in a recent interview with Uprocks, he said he is 59 and he says this: I like staying fresh. I mean, I like to keep mixing it up. I want to do it all, and I feel that at this point, after 45 years of doing this, and in over 100 movies, I feel I've pretty much said what I've had to say with cinema, and I'd like to leave on a high note and say adios. I think I have to do maybe three or four more movies before I can get there, and then hopefully switch formats and go into some other way of expressing my acting. I would have liked to left on a high note with like Dream Scenario, but I have other contracts that I have to fulfill, so we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm going to be very severe and very astringent on the selection process moving forward, but for me to do another movie, I do want to I do want to explore other formats. I am very interested in immersion streaming with episodic television. I have seen things that can be done now with characters and the time they're given to actually express themselves. I saw Bryan Cranston stare at a suitcase for an hour on one episode of Breaking Bad. We don't have to do time to do that in a feature film, so maybe television is the next best step for me. We'll see. So he's talking about like a semi-retirement. I'm sure he'll never stop doing movies, but he's been doing movies at like 3 a year for the last 20 years, if not more.
Yep.
Like, so we'll see what happens there.
Cool. That sounds good.
Yeah.
I love Nicolas
During
Cage.
varieties, sorry.
I love Nicolas Cage. So whatever he wants to do, go for
Yeah,
it, man.
exactly. He's given us enough. If he wants to just go to TV, and maybe he'll be on the Riverdale reboot. During Variety's Actors on Actors, Margot Robbie sat down with Cillian Murphy, and apparently she said, "One of your producers, Chuck Rovin, called me because we worked together on some other projects, and he said, I think you guys should move your date." Talking about the Barbie movie, because it was the same weekend as Oppenheimer, which Cillian Murphy is a star of. And she said, "We're not moving our date. If you're scared to be up against us, then you move your date." And he's like, "We're not moving our date. I just think it'd be better for you to move." And she said, "We're not moving." And the rest is history, obviously, because they stayed on the same weekend. I think they brought in more money. Obviously, Oppenheimer brought in more money than it ever would have.
Yeah.
But just kind of funny.
Another good decision on her part.
Yeah.
She's really shown to be a not prude,
Prudent.
Thank you. She's been shown to be a really prudent businesswoman, and good for her.
Yeah, and she's a good producer now and everything.
Yeah.
So I think she's got like a really healthy career moving forward.
Yep.
I texted you this earlier. Pixar's movies Soul, Luca, and Turning Red will be hitting the big screen for the first time. These movies were released on Disney Plus around the start of the pandemic, December 25th, 2020, June 18th, 2021, and March 11th, 2022. Soul will hit theaters in January 2024, Turning Red in February, and Luca in March. So these are movies that were, they started doing this in COVID, releasing these Pixar movies, and there was a lot of backlash. I don't know if you remember
it, especially for Turning Red.
Yeah, because by the time Turning Red came out in 2022, theaters were back up and running.
Yep.
And
they needed
Disney.
Movies.
Yeah, and Disney Plus just said, "Oh no, we're just going to throw this one on Disney Plus," and there was a lot of backlash. And now Disney has had a really rough year, and I think they're looking for any reason to make money. A, B, I think the Disney Plus format hasn't been working the way they thought it would, and see, because people say, "Oh, it's a Disney movie." Well, I'll just wait 3 months and it'll be on Disney Plus. They've kind of made their own bed, and now they have to lie in it. I don't know. I don't know what they have to do to fix this, but
yeah, we talked about this before. I mean, during COVID, with these big releases, they trained people to say, "Oh, it'll just come on Disney Plus, no problem."
Exactly.
And now that they had such a shit cinema year with box office, they're like, "Oh God, what are we gonna do? This is a no-brainer. These movies already came out. It's no extra cost to them, or maybe a little bit to market it and put them out, and they'll get people like me. I plan to see all three of these for sure. Because I think I told you I saw Turning Red at home. I watched that a couple times. I loved Turning Red, and then Soul I saw half of at home, and Luca I didn't even see. So I will definitely go see these.
Out of these, I'm the highest on Luca, which is really weird because people love Soul, and you really like Turning Red, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but I think I will see them. I know. I think I got to give it another chance. Sebastian Stan, who played the Winter Soldier in the Avengers movies, is transformed into Donald Trump in images from the set of the new movie called The Apprentice.
I saw one of these.
Did you?
Pictures.
Yeah. So he will be playing the former U.S. president. The film will follow the biographical events of Trump's life as a real estate businessman in the 70s and 80s, chronicling his rise to power. Filming began in November, and the release date for the film is currently unknown. Here's the thing I just wanted to talk to you about, and then we'll get into box office. This is from the director of Holy Spider. Do you remember that movie from
I think
last year?
so.
It was
Yeah,
really
that was a
good.
foreign language film.
Yes. So this director, he is Indian.
Oh,
He's an
interesting.
Indian man, uh, or Iranian. Sorry, not Indian, Iranian. So he's from Iran, and he doesn't live in the United States.
Yeah, that's a weird choice.
Yeah, he doesn't live in the United States. Well, he doesn't live in Iran anymore. He moved and he lives in Sweden now, Denmark, one of those. And yeah, so it's just I feel like it's just so weird that he's like, you know what I need to make next as my follow up to Holy Spider, which everybody loved, is I need to make a movie about a young Donald Trump. And just like, hey, I have no problem with, you know, anybody making anything. I'm not saying but he's not from I looked him up and he's not American.
Yeah,
So,
that is weird, and I think your confusion is valid. A lot of times we
mhm,
see the reverse of this being um, called out and people upset about when a straight director directs a gay movie or
right, right.
whatever, black or whatever, Indian, whatever. So it is funny. It is weird. You would think they would pick at least someone who was born or is or lives here. So yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder. Yeah, that's really a curious because Holy Spider was not, well. I guess it could be called political, but it was that story about the woman, right?
Yeah, and it was set in Iran, and it's a
Yeah, it
true
was yeah
story.
from Iran. So maybe
Um,
this will be interesting. I mean,
yeah, it
did you
will.
like Vice? This reminds me a lot of Vice.
I liked Vice for what it was. I mean, I'm a person who loves an acting showcase, so to watch Christian Bale do his thing and all of that, and I'm a political guy too, so that was interesting. But I didn't love the movie as much as everyone else.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I could
so.
see like an Adam McKay doing this movie,
Mhm.
or someone like that. Tim
I,
Miller. I don't know, somebody. So that is interesting. We'll see. I think
yeah.
there must be a reason behind it. So we'll see.
Well, he did. The last thing he actually directed was 2 episodes of From the Last of Us.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was an American production. So maybe he's wetting his feet over here. And this is based on a book as well. So maybe he read the book and it really spoke to him. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So, yeah, sorry. And did I say his name was Ali Abbasi? That's his name.
Okay.
So, and if anybody hasn't seen The Holy Spider, like even if you're not big on foreign language, that is a really good true story um, about a serial killer in Iran, journalist. I really love that movie. So,
Oh
anyways,
yeah. Okay. Now I
yeah,
really remember. I remember where I
he
saw it.
kills prostitutes.
Yeah, yeah. It was, man. Yeah, it was a little bit of a tough watch, to be honest, just because of the content. But
Yeah. Oh
a
yeah.
damn good movie.
Yeah. Okay,
That's a
sir.
cool, and it has a cool poster too. I love that
I
poster.
love
It
that
has
poster too.
her on the front on like one of those cool Persian
Yep.
rugs. All right, so you want to go get into box office?
Nah.
No? What else you want to do then?
Okay. Yes, I do.
All right, so let's talk box office for the previous weekend ending December 3rd, Sunday. Um, in first place was Beyonce's Renaissance with only 21 million, which I think is a little lower than expectations. Worse expectations were. I think maybe if they put this a little bit after Taylor Swift's concert movie, this would have been maybe a little better of a headline. Because if you guys remember, Taylor Swift's open to like 96 million, 4 times this amount. Taylor Swift has a bigger fan base, probably nowadays. Taylor Swift has a much younger fan base, definitely, than Beyonce.
Yeah.
So those things, make a difference as far as who's coming out to the theater. So I worked this past Sunday at the theater, and we were slammed for this movie. Atlanta is a pretty
Oh.
black city, so usually for quote black movies like Equalizer 3 or a Beyonce Renaissance, we have great crowds for those. So Sunday at noon, we had 80 people for our big IMAX screen. And then right after that at 3, we had another 70 and on, just like that throughout the day. So, and they were drinking. We made a special drink for her show called one of her song titles. I forgot which one.
Lemonade?
No, that would have been good, but and actually I'm gonna add this because it's an anecdote, but here we go. The bartender I talked to, Jalen, we're friends. We were talking about the drink. He made a batch of it, and a lot of people were asking me what's in the drink. So I didn't know for sure. I couldn't remember what exactly it was, but it was like pinkish or reddish, kind of like it was reddish, like the Renaissance poster.
Okay.
So I go up to him and I'm like, "Hey, what's in the drink? What actually is in it?" And he's like, "Hennessy, watermelon liqueur, and Sprite, and something else." And he was like, "To be honest, it sounds pretty racist. Whoever came up with this drink idea at our company." And I'm like, I just don't know what to say. I'm like, wow, yeah, I guess you're right. That is kind of if yeah, okay, yeah. So so that was funny. But we sold a shit ton of them, tons and tons and tons of them, multiples for people, and people came in costume, wearing a lot of her outfits that she had. People came in with concert tees that they got at the show. Um, it was rowdy, but it was a lot of fun, and yeah, I saw the pieces I saw of it looked awesome. I know a ton of her songs. Who doesn't? If you live in North America,
Yeah.
she's had hits for years and years. So anyway, that's Beyonce's Renaissance, 21 million opening weekend. It's also doing the thing. It's also distributed by AMC theaters, just like Taylor Swift's was, and
Okay.
it's only showing on the weekends, like Thursday through Sunday, to make it more of an event type thing. In second place, Hunger Games is third weekend, I think. Yeah, 14.5 million. And then in third place, this was cool to see Godzilla -1 with 11 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a foreign language film to come out and open up at number 3, that's really cool. And then Trolls World Tour 3 was at 7.6 million, and then Wish was right behind it at 7.4 million. Disney's Wish.
Wish has
Yeah, Wish is just
dropped.
bombing out. I think it's only at 40 million domestic. And the budget on this, and this is the problem with Disney this year, their budgets have been outrageous. Apparently, this one is around $200 million as well. And so they're never going to come close to even getting a profit. It's like,
Yeah.
so Wish is a bomb. It's just a bomb. It really is. There's no other way to put it. Add it to the list of Disney bombs this year with Indiana Jones and the Marvels and so on. So that's the top 5. Let's move
I guess
on.
I'll just say I'll read like to give everyone a frame of reference. Top 5 concert/live musical performance film grosses domestic. Number 1 is Taylor Swift. Number 2, Justin Bieber's Never Say Never was 73 million. Number 3 was This Is It, the Michael Jackson one, 72 million. Hannah Montana's Best of Both Worlds concert was 65 million. And then Woodstock, which was probably a documentary, I'm guessing, or a live of the concert, and it was 34 million. So Beyonce only came in at 21 million, but I think what they should have done is
so those are that's full gross, right? We're just talking about opening weekend for Beyonce's, right? Or were those opening weekend numbers?
Right. Yeah. So that's the one you sent me.
I just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah. Sorry. Maybe I.
No, that's all right. Because Beyonce could over the next few weekends get up to
yeah,
at least
you're
number 5.
right. So those aren't opening weekends. That's full domestic gross.
Still
So
good to say. I mean, still good context.
I could see it making it past 65 million or 72 million. Maybe.
Yeah, definitely, or more than the Woodstock one for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
and I want to add to before you finish your thought, the Beyonce one isn't a straight concert movie like Taylor Swift's was. It's got behind the scenes stuff spliced in her process. And
yeah, I like
this one's really impressive because Beyonce wrote, directed, produced, stars. She did basically the whole thing.
Nice.
And that's a lot of work, and she shows some of that work in the movie. So
Oh, nice. I just think they should have either do it right. No, I think they should have waited till a few months from now. Like,
Yeah, me too.
make some big distance between Taylor Swift and yourself, because the people the people that went out and spent all that money for Taylor Swift or whatever, they might have been some of the same people,
Yep.
and there's only like 2 months apart. Like, I mean, Taylor Swift just went out of theaters. If it might still be in some, so
Yeah, yeah. I think it maybe just dropped out.
it's gonna be on streaming, not streaming, but like VOD, um, next week or something. So
Yeah, a friend of mine wants to have a Taylor Swift party where she rents the movie and we all go over to her house and watch it and get
nice.
and drink, and that could be fun.
Yeah, my fiance would kill me if I did that, but um, so let's get into movie reviews.
Hell yeah.
And you saw one that is a big awards contender. You just sent me a list that this was like number one or number two on of the year. I can't.
Which one?
Maestro. Sorry, we're gonna review Maestro, and yeah,
Yeah,
why don't you
yeah. And the
jump in?
list I sent you was from, I think, okay, sure. So the list I think I sent you was from Time Magazine, right?
I think so, and they did like their top 10, and this was number one or number two.
I think it
Yeah,
was
number
two.
one.
For number one is another movie I'm going to review.
Okay.
So yeah, Maestro is Bradley Cooper's baby, really, really his baby. So it's a 2023 movie, directing by Bradley Cooper and stars Bradley Cooper. It also has Carey Mulligan, Matt Bomer, Maya Hawke, Sarah Silverman has a small role, um, Sam Nivola, and a couple others I don't recognize their names, but those are the big stars in the main cast here. The movie follows, so it's a portrait of Leonard Bernstein's career basically and his
Hmm.
life, his passion for music as he rose to fame, as he was America's first native born world renowned conductor. It's kind of funny to see this come after the movie Tar, which was also about a conductor,
Hmm.
last year. And this movie follows along his crazy ambition, his wild personal life, and covers some of his really, really popular Broadway work. So, do you know the name Leonard Bernstein before this movie?
Yes.
Okay, good.
um. Yeah.
So I did as well. Heard the name. Don't think I could name songs or movies he did, but of course I know the name. It's
Hmm.
I knew he was someone famous in within music, and the movie is like staggeringly well made, really, really impressively made, meticulously made. Bradley Cooper is phenomenal here. The first scene we see him as a very old man in
Mm.
prosthetics. You can't even tell it's him. His gray hair is thinning. He's at a piano doing an interview. And the movie jumps from stages in his life. So we see him as an old man talking about the death of his wife, and how that affected him and his children. And then we jump back, way back into the 40s or 50s. It turns back to black and white. It
Mm.
goes into the Academy ratio, so it's very boxy. And the movie starts from there, right before he meets Carey Mulligan, who will then become his wife. So I want to say some really good things about it. So yeah, like I said, Cooper, the makeup is great. There's just again, Cooper does so well with shots here. There's an awesome shot of him waking up late or getting a call about he's going to now. This is kind of his big breakthrough, and the camera is above him, looking down on his apartment as he runs from room to room, frantically trying to get ready. And it's just really beautiful. The black and white is striking. I'm usually not crazy about black and white, but this one looked really good. Um, and then even the editing, there's a really cool edit where she's on stage. So him and her are on stage, practicing a play that she's going to do. And they finish their lines. It's just him and her. They finish her lines and she's walking away. And they do like a match cut to where, as she walks away from just him and her on an empty stage, it's her walking out to an audience full of people, and she's doing the actual performance in front of everyone, and does a great job. So that editing was really, really cool. Carey Mulligan is kind of the unsung hero here. She is just so good in this. I was like startled. I just can't, like, she felt so real, like we were watching someone in the past, like this was a documentary recording of someone meeting their husband for the first time, and her face lights up when she sees him. This isn't too surprising, right? We know Carey Mulligan is amazing. She's just so talented. She's in a movie that you're going to review at Saltburn in a small
I
role.
I just have to say before I did, Sarah Silverman posted a scene of hers with Carey Mulligan today on Instagram, and I really like Sarah Silverman, but I was blown away by Carey Mulligan from that little scene because she's playing older than she is in
Yep.
this scene, and she's 100% acting like a woman from that time period and an older woman. I was mesmerized. I watched it twice because I just couldn't believe it was how good of a job she was doing from that small performance. But continue.
Yeah. No, that's a great add-in because that's exactly how I felt watching it. This is classic old Hollywood. I think the Academy and a lot of guild voters will eat this up, probably even critical voters. But it does feel like pretty standard biopic stuff.
Yeah.
Put aside all the praise I just gave to the technical aspects of the movie. It's pretty boring, honestly.
Yeah.
And there's more stuff to it, like it switches to Technicolor about halfway through or a third the way through. So not just full color, but like, Technicolor, the 3 red, blue, green, how movies in color used to be like when the color first started coming out. And it's just boring. And like, I think the movie would be so much better if this were Carey Mulligan's story. Find out her. So in the opening scene, we learn Bradley Cooper is at least bisexual. He wakes up with a man, he spanks his ass. And then throughout the movie, he seems to be mingling with men, even though he's been married. And so it would have been great to see her reaction to this. How does she keep a family together? And especially back in those days when, being gay was definitely not as well accepted as it is today. So I can understand why Cooper would do this, and it does make him look very good. But yeah, once we get to the end, I'm like, all right, just another white guys biopic. We've seen so many of these every year. There've been like 6 or 7, Roma and on and on and on. There's just a ton of these kind of biopics reflecting on some guy's life. And yeah, so this movie to me, this is something I came to later. This is kind of like Bradley Cooper's Phantom Thread. There's another example.
Right.
Is really his, because that one, to me, that one was also very well made. The acting was stellar, but the story itself is like, we have to wait till the very end until something kind of really exciting happens. So, and then one thing that was that really bothered me here is, all right, so the song by REM, It's the End of the World.
Yep.
All right, the part in the song where they start talking super fast and nobody knows the lyrics because they're saying 6 o'clock a TV hour, don't get caught in rush hour. You know that part?
Yeah.
So he says in that song, something, and Leonard Bernstein. There's a point in this movie where Cooper as Leonard Bernstein is driving down the road in his convertible, and that song comes on, and he like turns it up at that exact point. It just didn't work. It was so corny and took me out of the movie. So what were you going to say?
Would he have been alive when that movie came out, I guess?
I think he would have been alive, and I think his ego makes me think that he probably did do that.
He died in 1990, so I don't know enough about REM to know when that song came out. They were a
90s band, so but you're right, maybe that song came out in like 96 or something. Anyway, it just doesn't work for the movie, even if it's true. It just took me out. I think they should have done something else there.
What's the name of the song?
It's End of the World by REM.
Right. Okay.
So I'm gonna summarize and just say, and it's not very long. It's not. Thankfully, this isn't a 2.5 hour biopic. I think it was right around 2 hours, maybe 2:05, something like that. I just want to summarize by saying this is a very well made movie. I think if you like filmmaking stuff, and or if you're a huge fan of Bradley Cooper, see this. But if you have had enough with biopics and you don't necessarily care that much about technical aspects of filmmaking, I'd say skip it or put it on while you're doing laundry or something. This is a 3-star review for me just because of the things that are good are so good,
Mm-hmm.
but the movie just doesn't really come together as a whole. I would like, I don't know if you're going to see this, but I'd love to get your thoughts on it too one of these days.
Well,
But yeah,
it will be on Netflix December 22nd, I think, just
perfect.
before Christmas.
Yep.
It is a Netflix movie, so I will definitely be seeing it, especially because this is Bradley Cooper's, sophomore effort after Star is Born, and I think he deserves that much, like me to, because A Star is Born is an incredible movie,
Yes, I love that movie.
and I want to see Bradley Cooper stretch, and even that performance from Carey Mulligan today, I'm definitely interested. But yeah, I
Yeah,
was looking into Bernstein. The only thing I know him from is A West Side Story, so
there you go.
I
Yeah,
guess
that's one of them. Yep.
he did the score for On the Waterfront, which was his only Oscar nomination. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, on the
he
waterfront.
was
Yes.
almost an EGOT. So if he had gotten that Oscar, he would have been an EGOT. But yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So
Great guy, prolific guy, talented guy. Um, and yeah, this isn't a bad movie. It's just not that exciting.
yeah,
Biopic,
run of the
pretty
mill.
pretty standard fare for Oscars time.
Yeah, and
So yeah,
it's the end
three
of the
star,
world
three
came
stars for
out
me.
perfect. That song came out in '87, so he would have been 3 years from his deathbed.
Okay,
So
so he definitely would have heard it.
yeah. um, I'm gonna talk about May December. You talked about this last week. This is
Yeah,
Julianne
let's talk
Moore.
about it.
Yeah, directed by Todd Haynes, who directed Carol and a couple other movies I like. Um, Julianne Moore, Natalie Portman, and Charles Melton. Nobody else really huge. It's kind of
No,
their story, and I
yeah,
didn't really recognize anyone else. Um, this is about, as you said last week, this is about a woman who had a relationship with somebody in a boy in grade 7. She was a teacher. She was 36, I think. This kid was 13.
yeah, and
She
Mitch, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I learned more about this as we've gone on, or as time has gone on. This is based pretty seriously on the Mary Letourneau
Yes,
incident. I didn't know that
I
name before.
I did. My friend from Cinematics, Bruce Perky, he had brought it up on Cinematics about this Mary Kay Letourneau, and so I've done some digging onto that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So sorry to
So
interrupt you. You can
no,
continue.
that's okay. I'm glad you brought it up because that was definitely on my, because he did send me the link about her story, and I kind of read that. As gross as it is, it's obviously a little interesting.
Definitely.
Um, so Julianne Moore plays this character, Gracie. She is a older woman now. She has been to jail because of this issue. She actually had some kids with this guy, this boy, in jail. She had the kids, and once she got out of jail, they got back together, and they have kids together. She also has kids from a previous relationship.
Yeah.
And there is an actress, Natalie Portman. She plays Elizabeth, who comes to the house to. She's gonna portray her in a movie, and so she shows up, and the young Joe is his name. He's the boy, the now guy. He's maybe 30.
I think he's 35, 32.
Yeah, he's 30 something now. And they have a family together. They are living together. They seem generally happy, except for the fact that she's crying all the time.
They've
It's
been
really
together
interesting.
18 years or something.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, you know, on the outside, on the surface, to everyone else, she's well put together. None of this stuff from her past bothers her. But once those doors are closed, she's a very insecure. I'm talking about Julianne Moore's character. She's a very insecure, very
Manipulative.
manipulative, and she's crying all the time. The littlest thing gets to her, and this poor guy played by Charles Melton he is doing what he thinks he has to. You can just tell that he is a stunted young man who, is for the 13, 18 years of their relationship, he has just basically been told what to do. I like it's creepy. Um the first hour there isn't like a whole lot going on, but it's interesting enough, and it's like laying all the pieces down. And then the last like half an hour, 40 minutes really um gets into it. I don't think Natalie Portman's character what is necessarily a good person
No,
either.
she's also bad.
Yeah, she's kind of a I don't know. And she's playing an actress who is obviously a little full of herself, and she's a climber. Um
Yeah,
there
we
is a
find out she's having other relationships
yeah,
throughout.
yeah. It's definitely taking like a stab at filmmakers and how they profit from these, taboo situations or these uneasy things. Uh and then the actors who make money from playing, let's say serial killers or someone like this. Um, and then Portman comes in, and basically she's like a bomb set in the middle of these two people's lives, and it's good. The score is really sets you up to think that this is like a lifetime drama. The score I've seen hasn't worked for some people. I really liked it. I liked like how it went out and then all of a sudden it just came back in.
Yeah,
Really,
the best use of it, I think, is at the very beginning.
yes.
She's Julianne Moore. So Natalie Portman arrives. Julianne Moore is talking to her, and Julianne Moore says something like, "Oh, I don't know if we're gonna have enough hot dogs." And then the score is like, "Bum bum bum."
Yeah,
So
right. I
and
loved it.
that set me back. I'm like, what am I watching? What is this? But I think that helps like set the tone that it kind of knows it's a little trashy.
Yeah, if you're not digging it, just know that the last act really brings a lot of things together, and it definitely makes you feel a little icky. But there's a part where we see Portman portraying Julianne Moore, and you can't help but see Natalie Portman trying to play Julianne Moore, like literally the two actors, right? And she's like overemphasizing Julianne Moore's lisp, and it's
Hmm.
really interesting.
Yeah, there's a
And
lot of layers here because we got
there is,
actors playing actors.
yes.
Yeah, so you
And
liked it.
obviously, I did. I gave it 4 stars. I think Charles Melton is obviously really great playing a abused person who you realize like as the time goes on you realize how abused he was or is, and it's really interesting, so I really liked it. So
Yeah, good. I'm
that
glad
is
you liked it. I gave it 4 stars too. It's just really an interesting piece. This is something different. This isn't
yeah,
another biopic,
yeah,
not to rag on Maestro at all, but this is the kind of stuff that's like, oh, cool. What do these creative people come up with,
yeah. And it's on Netflix now. So you saw it in theaters just before it, like a week or two before it came on Netflix. It came on December 1st, so you can catch that now. And you are gonna. Oh, I'm so excited to hear about Godzilla minus one. I
Yeah.
not playing anywhere near me.
Oh,
So
it's not?
no, I'm so
Oh, I'm
upset.
so sorry, Mitch. I actually really do feel bad for you. And this happens a lot. I just have like this, the tiny littlest bit of guilt that I sometimes can see stuff that I know you probably want to see and see even more than me.
Oh
Um,
well,
I know it's
I'll
just
see
the way
about
it
it.
is.
Yeah,
But look, and then I shouldn't really feel guilt about that. But I, of course, then feel the other side because I see people in New York or LA that get stuff
yeah.
that I'll never get in Atlanta just because New York and LA are the hubs of movies.
This
So
like the stuff that only plays for like 2 days in New York.
there like so there was this one, this is a tangent, Palestine War, Gal Gadot. Did you hear about this one? Gal Gadot
Yeah, I didn't know that
Gal
was out
Gadot was having
already.
like produced or paid for or whatever this movie, and it was basically, people were outraged. Of course, everyone's outraged about everything all the time, so
Yeah.
take that with a grain of salt. Apparently, it showed. Let's see, she's Israeli, so it showed cruelties that Hamas and Palestinians had done to Israelis.
Right.
And people were protesting in front of the theater, but it's in New York City and it's only there. And that movie will probably never come out anywhere.
Right.
And I'm just
Yeah.
like, shit, if I lived in New York, I could see this, be a part of the conversation. Or even Poor Things. Poor Things been out for 2 weeks in LA. It's like, I want to see that now. So yeah, it's all relative.
Yeah.
But so this is Godzilla minus one. This is one that you told me about. It's directed by Tashaki Yamazaki, and apparently, maybe Mitch, you can fact check this for me. He's done something like 30 Godzilla movies.
Oh, I'll look this up while you talk.
Yeah, it's like 33 or something, like, which is just wild. But listeners, I'm sure you've seen the trailer. It's called Godzilla minus one. The poster is super cool. This is about post-war Japan. Godzilla rises up. In these people are struggling already to rebuild their country, and all of a sudden, here's this new threat coming in, and it has no mercy. It doesn't care doesn't care who you are, where you are, what city it's destroying. If you're in front of it, you're getting wrecked. And I ended up really liking this one. This is awesome, and this is so cool because it's a lower budget. I think it was made for 8 million or 11 million. But the effects were really cool and really good.
Yeah.
But the reason I like this movie so much was because of its characters. We just talked about in the news segment, or early on in this podcast, where the recent Warner Brothers Godzilla movies, characters are so forgettable and shitty and not defined at all. This one, the characters are everything. We start out with a kamikaze pilot who, this is the first scene, so this won't spoil too much. It's probably in the trailer. So this kamikaze pilot comes back. The war isn't over just yet. It's like about to be the next day. Kamikaze pilot comes back to a base saying, "Hey, my plane is fucked up. I can't fly it anymore." And he just kind of gets out of his plane, he's sitting on the ground, and the mechanics are checking the plane, and they come over to him like, "Doesn't seem to be anything wrong with this plane." And he freaks out. "What are you saying? You saying I'm a coward?" And basically, he didn't want to die. He didn't want to be a kamikaze pilot. And then all of a sudden, before that can really be dealt with, Godzilla comes out the ocean and causes awesome terror at night. It's a great, like, Jurassic Park type dinosaur scene. So yeah, this movie is excellent. The acting is great. Some things that I liked. The main actor who I just mentioned, I can't pronounce any of these people's names. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to even try. The main actor meets a woman who is caring for a child that she just found on the street. They don't end up getting, like, there's no force to make them husband and wife and get into a love story. They're just kind of mutually helping help this baby. In a Hollywood movie, they would have to have a love story and kiss and blah, blah, blah. They don't do that here. And the other second thing that I really liked about this movie is, and I don't see this much outside of United States movies, is the Japanese people in this movie criticize the Japanese government. And they say things like, "Why would they make us be kamikazes? They don't care about us. They send us out there with not enough food or ammo." So they're really criticizing the way the Japanese government handled the war from a humanitarian way. And that's just a perspective I've never heard. You always think of, well, they had the kamikaze fighters. They were all crazy and intense and wanted to die for country. But maybe a lot of them didn't. And this was a different perspective. I'm like, that's cool. That's an interesting thing to put into place, because for them to deal with the Godzilla threat, the military's been disbanded. The US is now rushing in to help them rebuild their country. I guess we did that after the war, after we dropped nuclear bombs on them. So the team that gets pulled together is civilians. Most of them were in the military, but they're all like, "Hey, the government's not going to do this. We got to take this Godzilla out before it destroys Tokyo." So that's Godzilla minus one. It's awesome. It's in theaters around me. It's in a decent amount of theaters around me. So, but maybe it's an AMC thing.
Yeah, it said like 1,000 theaters across North America. So
Okay.
I don't know if so. That's a lot of theaters in the U.S. and then probably 30 to 50 in Canada. I get like the closest. I messaged my friend who's in Cambridge, which is just not too far from me, and he said that the closest it's playing is Toronto. So
Okay, yeah, like maybe Toronto, Vancouver. Just to put that number into perspective, 1,000 theaters. So like the big releases, the Marvels and stuff, that goes into 4,000 theaters.
yeah,
So you're right. There's a shit ton of theaters across North America.
yeah.
But yeah, that's about all I have to say. It was really good. I give this 4 stars. It's actually kind of got me excited to see Shin Godzilla. So did you find out that this director has made a whole bunch of Godzilla movies?
So it's not the director; it's the studio. You must have read that about. It's Toho Studios.
That's it.
So Toho Studios basically is the Japanese studios that make Godzilla movies, and then over here we have Legendary that is making our Godzilla movies. And I just saw a good post the other day, and it said it's cool that we can live in a world where people are going to see both. Toho is making these Japanese movies that we are Godzilla movies, and then we get our Americanized version, which is fine.
It is fine.
Whatever.
And that's how
It's
copyright should work, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Disney shouldn't own the copyright to one thing for 150 years. Let other
Yeah,
people who are creative come up with it. Like we just saw with Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, that new one
I was just
sucked.
thinking of that. Yeah,
That one's terrible, but it's like, cool, let someone else try stuff. I think you're absolutely right. And I think they made like a handshake agreement between Legendary and Toho. Like,
right,
don't put yours out within 6 months of mine. And they kind of both agreed they would do that.
right.
So yeah, definitely see it
No,
when you
it's
can.
cool.
The effects are super cool. When this Godzilla charges up, his spikes on his back raise up and glow blue, and you know that that's when he's about to do something crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's a little, I say, chintzy with its special effects, but I'm not gonna judge it for that based on its budget. This isn't a $250 million Flash
Yeah.
movie. It's an $11 million movie, and they did a great job. Super cool.
Well, wait until you see what they do with the effects in Shin Godzilla
I
because
can't wait.
you're going to be shocked. It's really they do some really interesting things with Godzilla in this, and I like that. Like so in this one, sorry, I'm excited. In this one, do you see the bombs drop like the here at Hiroshima, or is this
No,
afterwards
this is
then?
aftermath.
Okay.
However, since you asked, Godzilla's fire-breathing mouth isn't really fire-breathing. He shoots a nuclear bomb from
Right.
his mouth. So he powers up and blasts this blue light, and then way in the distance, you see a mushroom cloud and a giant nuclear bomb.
Wow.
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
it's intense. And yeah, the effects they do are great. The wind, like one hits right in Tokyo, and the wind just comes. So yeah, it's gonna be great. Just like that, just like the little
Yeah.
figure you're holding up.
This one's from Godzilla versus Kong, but I thought it was cool.
That is
Um,
cool. So before we go on to Saltburn, I don't know if your mute works because I don't know if you're trying to mute when you cough, but I could hear it. So just so you know.
oh shit. Okay, well I'm gonna have to cut that out.
All
Sorry,
right.
I've been trying to mute it. Did you hear me blow my nose earlier?
I've heard you cough a couple times. It doesn't bother me, but I think it looks like you're trying to hit mute and it's not.
Yeah.
So try it. Try it now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I think sometimes I hit it and it doesn't take. So sometimes I
Oh,
think I'm hitting it. So I'll check from now on. Yeah,
okay.
sorry about that, listeners. I will try to cut them out if I miss one or two. Um, and then so it's weird about Godzilla versus or Godzilla times Kong, the new one coming out. For some reason now in the next one, his you know what'd you say his things on
Spikes.
his back? Yeah, the spikes on his back they turn pink in the next one as he's
Interesting.
charging up. So that's I don't know why, but
Hmm.
so Saltburn, you talked about Saltburn last week, and everyone's been talking about Saltburn.
Yeah, this has made waves.
I had to get to the theater to see this. This is directed by Emerald Fennell, who made the incredible Promising Young Woman
With Carey Mulligan.
with Carey Mulligan from last year. Carey Mulligan has a really great role in this.
Yeah.
Um, Essentially, there's this kid. His name's Oliver. He doesn't have any money. He doesn't have any friends. He's at this
Oxford.
Oxford, thank you. And he meets, eventually, he happens upon this guy named Felix. Oliver is played by Barry Keoghan, and Felix is played by Jacob E. Lordy, who just played Elvis in the Priscilla movie. And they become friends. Actually, I was surprised how long that first act went on.
Thank you.
with them, the rise to him becoming friends with Oliver, because in the trailer they basically show you that they become friends right
Yeah,
away,
right.
right?
I know. I'm like an hour into this movie, and that's, I remember from my review, not to cut you off, but from my review, you remember I told you I left during the first hour, and I ended up going back to see it again later. It wasn't because the movie was bad; it was just
Yeah.
circumstances. But I remember leaving thinking like, I thought they were like friends, and it's like, and I didn't even get to that part. So yeah, I agree. The
it
first act drags a little.
it I like the first act. I've definitely been in this kind of position where I felt like I've definitely been Oliver, like without the friends, and then you meet someone and you really want to be their friend and whatever, right? So we've all kind of been there, and it was fine. I just knew there was a whole other part to this movie coming. Um, it's nice to have Kyogen. So anyway, so they become friends, and Jacob Elordi's character Felix, he is very rich. He has his parents own this estate called Saltburn. It's a beautiful mansion, and eventually, uh, Felix tells Oliver, "Why don't you come stay with me?" And he does. So they go, and he meets his parents, his cousin, his sister, and
Sister,
what's that?
I was saying his sister.
Yeah. And things get weird very quick. And this movie is definitely, it plays on awkwardness very well. There, like, right away, even with the butler, there's this butler who is just like hates him from the very beginning,
Yep.
and because he's lowborn or whatever you want to call him, and this butler, you know, it's just all very awkward, and the awkwardness continues.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's parties, there's backstabbing, and things that happen. uh some craziness goes on. What I love is there's like six main characters here, five, like five to six, like obviously the two main, and then some other main. They are so well developed. The characters in this are just so well developed. You know who everybody is within an instant of meeting them, and there's no bad exposition. The dialogue is great. Um, Rosamund Pike's character is fun. Richard E. Grant's character is fun. Like, very interesting.
Yeah.
Carey Mulligan is in it for maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and I think she helps to set up who these other characters are. um, they're all horrible people,
Yep.
essentially, living at this house.
Except Jacob
And
Elordi. He I
yeah,
think is okay.
yeah, he seems good. Like, yeah, he does actually.
Yeah, he doesn't really do anything objectionable. He was born into wealth. Can't blame him for that.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely interesting. It would definitely be one where we could get into spoilers if you wanted to. I don't know.
We
You want
can.
to? Okay.
Sure.
I didn't mute. Um, no, that's fine. It's fine. We don't have to. But anyways, this is going to be on Amazon Prime by the end of the month. I just found out. So that's going to be anybody who wants to see this. It'll be streaming for free on Prime apparently by the end of the month. And I will say it's definitely rated R. There's definitely some uh, awkward scenes. You see more penis. You see a lot of penis in this movie. You don't see any parts on a female at all. Um, and there's some shocking moments. Definitely, people have been talking about the bathtub scene,
Yep.
and I thought the bathtub scene was going to be a lot different than what it was.
Yeah.
Um, didn't gross me out as much as I thought it would. I think I was expecting really gross,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it was still gross, but Anyways, so
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that too. I wasn't grossed out by any of its shocking scenes, um, because we've seen worse. We've seen way worse. Um,
I think
I
just
just,
this,
yeah, I just thought I thought they were just, I thought it was just trying too hard to be crazy, um,
yeah, and
with with those scenes.
I remember you saying that last week, and I think that kind of just sets up that character's personality and where that character ends up going. It's like the opposite of a character unraveling. It's like you know what I mean? Like when a
Yeah,
character
yeah,
unravels and then they just go into craziness, this is like a character.
raveling.
Yeah, I guess it's like the opposite of it. Like he just becomes. Anyways, this is a really interesting movie. It's not for everyone, but I really liked it. I gave it. I'm 4.5 stars on it.
Cool.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. So
Cool.
give it
I'm
a
at 3 stars. I still like it enough because of its design,
yeah,
um, and lots of things. The acting, and this being her second movie, yeah,
yeah.
it's still. I still am like just barely positive on it, but I just didn't love it. But
I
I'm
might
glad
be
I'm glad you did.
I might be half a star higher on it just because of Jacob Elordi
Yeah,
and he is a very handsome man, but that's okay.
he is smoldering in this movie. He is so hot,
Okay, I'm gonna give.
and he's.
Sorry,
I was saying he's like super tall too. He's like
super.
6'5" or some shit.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna get into spoilers. I just need like a minute of spoilers.
Go
Okay,
for
so
it.
spoilers starting now. Was Jacob Elordi's character Felix? Was he into Oliver? Like, was there sexual tension? You think from his side?
I don't think. I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, he might have. There might have been some. Like, I'm gonna say no. I don't think he was. I think. I don't think so. I think he just because he seemed like we see him with a lot of women throughout the
Yeah,
movie,
yeah, exactly.
and no, I don't think he was. What do you think he was?
Well, I, I just don't know because like personally, I like male friendships where they don't care. Like it's like let's hug. We can lay together in the grass. Who fucking
Yeah,
cares,
yeah,
right?
yep,
Like whatever, right? And they were definitely very free around each other.
yes,
Um, and so that's why I just and there was even times where they were like very close.
yeah, yeah,
Just even like the closeness between them and then I kept thinking to Oliver, I'm like, if you're into him, why don't you act on it? And he never did. He always did it in private, like with the bathtub
yeah. Or the grave.
or what? Yeah. Oh my God, the grave
I
scene. Oh,
know,
I
right?
forgot about that for a
Fuck.
second. I knew he was going there. Honestly, I just knew that as soon as he laid down and like even before he took his shirt off, I knew it was going there. Yeah, very interesting movie.
Yeah, well,
But
okay, so the main one, okay, since we're in spoilers, a problem I have with it is we are shown that Barry Keown's mission in this is to like saddle up with and be friends with Elordi so he can take over Saltburn. Um, but we find out that he comes from money himself. They had their own wait staff. He's going to Oxford already. It
yeah.
just seemed weird to me that he would want to kill all these people to take over Saltburn when he already kind of has a good bit of money and comes from a good family. So maybe he's just a psychopath. But I just thought that was weird.
Yeah, I don't really understand his full like, because if he was madly in love with
Yeah.
Elordi, why did he? Well, I guess he didn't kill him until after he was caught, so maybe
Right.
that set off of a chain of
Yeah, I
events.
guess that could be right.
But
Yeah, and it's like that was funny too. It's like, would a Lordy really be like, after tonight's party, you're no longer here? It's like, no, you'd be gone. Like
yeah, yeah, I don't know.
right away after a Lordy discovers the truth, he would
Yeah,
immediately cut him off instead of being like, after tonight.
yeah,
But cool. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm glad you liked it. Um, I could
Yeah.
see me watching this again, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So you are going to talk about Fallen Leaves.
Okay, yep. Let's get me to Fallen Leaves. So this was number one on Time Magazine's Best Movies of the Year.
Yes.
And so this is 2023 movie directed by Aki Kaurismäki. Another tough name. This is a Finnish movie from Finland. So the movie tells the story of Ansa, who is a supermarket shelf stalker, and then she becomes a plastic recycler. And then Holappa, who is the man, he's a sandblaster and a major alcoholic, like drinking on the job, getting fired because he's drinking on the job multiple times. So like he's getting consequences from his drinking and he's not changing his behavior. Their two paths cross. And despite the adversity and misunderstandings, they try to build some kind of relationship on the harsher side of the welfare state. So I'm not exactly sure where they live in Finland, but they definitely live in a poor area. They're not in Helsinki. This movie is like 80 minutes, 85 minutes. It's pretty short. Yeah, I was surprised by it too. And it's very good and very sweet. And it's just an interesting relationship about two people, two unlikely people that you would think would meet up. They're both getting older. They're definitely like closer to their 40s than maybe their 30s. And it's just really good and really sweet. I'm surprised to hear this be their number one because I think Past Lives is a movie that's better than this one with kind of a similar romance underpinnings. And I like this movie quite a bit. It's a 3.5-star movie, but I had just a couple of issues with it. Some of the acting was extremely stiff. Like I couldn't believe this movie would go with some of these cuts. And I don't know if it's a language barrier, but because of course it's subtitled, there's a little bit of English, but it's mostly subtitled in Finnish. God, some of these actors are bad
Wow.
takes. Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe it. And then you can really tell it's low budget. There's not enough extras in places. The sets look like sets and not bars and streets sometimes. And then the biggest complaint I had about this one, Mitch, is there's a scene where a character, not necessarily the main characters, but there's a scene where a character, and it's pretty pivotal, gets hit by a train, but we don't see it. We see the person walk off screen, and all of a sudden, and then someone screams, and the scream sounds like a fake piped-in scream, not the character scream.
That's a little cheesy.
It was, man, it was super cheesy. So that's about all I want to say about
Yeah.
Fallen Leaves. It's a good movie. I liked it. I give this movie 3.5 stars. And I like the actors here, especially the woman, Alma Poisty, who I don't recognize. Sorry, let me say this again. I thought I recognized, but I couldn't place her anywhere.
Mhm.
Looking at her filmography, I don't necessarily recognize anything. So, take that for what it's worth. She's very good in it. She has a very cute, mousy, reserved, shy look about her. And yeah, it's just about these two. They get together. Do they get together? Do they not? There's some things that happen along the way that causes them to not get together when they plan to. They go see some movies. I will say, and I'll be done with this review. Have I told you, Mitch, that one of my life goals is to be able to, when I'm watching a movie, if characters in that movie are watching something, for me to know what it is? Have I told you that before?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in this
No,
movie,
you haven't, but I agree with you.
yeah, like in a movie, you'll see people watching a movie or a commercial or something, and I want to be able to be like, oh, I know exactly what they're watching because I've seen
Right.
everything, right? So in this movie, they go to the theaters and they are watching a zombie movie with Bill Murray and Adam Driver, and
Oh, yeah, Tilda Swinton.
yes, and I've seen it. I'm like, oh, I know this. This is Jim Jarmusch's The Dead Don't Die or The Dead Don't Talk or something like
Yes,
that.
not really a good movie, but
No, it wasn't that great. I liked it because
no.
Selena Gomez was in it
I
for
was,
2 seconds, but
I was gonna say that Selena Gomez's death scene was maybe the best part of the whole
yeah, it
movie.
was. It was. But yeah, they of all movies in Finland, they go to the theater and they watch The Dead Don't Die by Jim
That's
Jarmusch.
cool.
So that was a kind of really fun thing. And the poster is of this movie is them watching a movie at the theater.
Yeah, I
So
just saw that.
yeah, so I'd have a hard time recommending this to people. This is very art house. I think this is Finland's foreign language submission.
Yeah.
So if it gets nominated, then I'll be glad to say I've seen the nominations. But yeah,
Cool.
that's Fallen Leaves. Check it out if you're curious, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to many people.
Yeah.
Tell us about Dream Scenario, Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, so I'll be quick about this because you talked about it last week. It's about Nicolas Cage. You've probably heard he if you haven't, he starts appearing in people's dreams. It starts with his daughter, and his daughter sees him in his dream, and he's just standing there while his daughter floats away, and then later on, people are starting to recognize him. They're like, "Do I know you?" And he's like, "No, no, I don't think so." Oh, okay. But then it kind of they start to understand the puzzle starts to come together that people are having dreams of this man,
All
and
over the world, the same
yeah,
man.
all over the world they're having the dreams of him. The dreams are all different, and they're just of Nicolas Cage's character, Paul Matthews. He's a college professor, and all he's doing in their dreams is standing there. And a lot of these dreams are traumatic dreams for the people in the dreams, for the actual people having the dreams. Um, they're being chased by a killer throughout their home. Someone's been hit by a car, and nobody's and Nicolas Cage is just standing there, not helping. Um, so hold on, what? Yeah, so that's the kind of the setup. He has a wife. He's got two daughters. Michael Cera has a little bit of a part in this, and Tim
Yeah,
Meadows
he's
is
fun.
in it as well. Um, Julianne Nicholson, who I don't think we see enough of, she was really good.
Yeah,
Um, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I had problems with the ending as well.
me too.
Um, I didn't during the movie, but the more I've thought on it, the more I've like, oh, I don't, yeah, like why would I think my biggest problem was how what happens to him. Um, basically, it seemed a little bit too absurd. And like I said, we were talking last week. Maybe it's an allegory on cancel culture, but like he didn't do anything wrong,
Right.
really,
He hasn't.
right? And but I get where it was going. I think I did really enjoy it, and then there's stuff with his wife later on that I didn't really understand, and um, but yeah, ultimately, I think this is a fun, interesting movie. And this is one of Nicolas Cage's best performances in quite a while.
Yeah, he's great in this.
Yeah, so yeah, I think this is one I could recommend to everyone.
Me
I
too.
I
Three and a
don't
half stars for me.
Yeah, 3.5 as well. I don't see anyone disliking it. I just I wish there was a better ending there.
Yeah, I wish it
Um,
delivered more because the premise is so good.
yeah, yeah,
So high concept. You could say, what would happen if someone just started showing up in everyone's dreams? It's like, boom, great idea. And yeah, the
yeah,
ending's it's not bad. It's just like, oh, that's all that it was.
yeah. And I think this would have been a really cool Black Mirror episode, and
Definitely.
um, I think stretching it out. Obviously, he stretched it out to add that allegory and of um, you know, what are they called? Influencers and TikTokers and stuff. So and their life. I do want to see his first film that a lot of people have been talking about, Sick of Myself. It came out last year. Did you see that?
No,
It's a Norwegian film because he is Norwegian. And it's gotten a lot of
I
Anderson and
remember this
Brian
one. Yeah.
really like it. So Yeah, so Dream Scenario, I highly recommend it. And do you want to tell us a bit about A Brighter Summer's Day, which you watched today?
Yeah. So I finally got through A Brighter Summer's Day, all 4 hours.
Summer Day.
Um, oh, thank you. Brighter. I kept doing when I was searching for it. I kept searching for a bright summer day, and yeah. Anyway, so we set this movie up last week. I don't necessarily need to mention the director um, and the cast, which I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce anyway. So overall, I do like this movie. But I
Hmm.
do think it's too long. I
Hmm.
just do. And maybe if I saw it in the theaters when it came out, I might have felt a little differently. So this is um post-war post-war a whole bunch of Taiwanese fled to
Hmm.
Japan or Vietnam. I think it was Vietnam.
Uh, Vietnam.
Yeah, I think we said this last week too. But so what I liked about this movie, I thought that it looks so very 90s, and I had a little nostalgia for it. The clothing, even though I'm from the US, the clothing and stuff just felt so 90s, and maybe it was just the cameras used back then. So I had some like nice nostalgia in the first couple hours of like, oh
Taiwan,
man,
sorry.
yeah. So they fled to Taiwan.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Um, and I was also struck by how violent the movie is to these kids, like.
Yeah.
And back to like a City of God allegory. That's one I think we talked about last week. You
Yeah.
haven't seen yet, but and that one is maybe a little more violent, but this one has persistent violence to the kids, and it's kids on kids being violent for the most part. Um, and I just felt sorry for a lot of these kids because the movie feels very realistic too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this is
definitely.
someone's lived experience, or maybe their parents' lived experience that they know about. So yeah, that struck me a bit. Like wow, like they like bullying. The concept of bullying hasn't been introduced yet to these people, and how bad it can be and traumatizing to these kids. Um, and I think the whole point of the movie, like by the end, I think the point was to show a similar or an allegory between or metaphors between. So the adults in this realm here are dealing with their own clashes and political strife. And then I think that's to parallel what the kids are going through as well. Now the kids is obviously different, but they're butting heads with each other's opposing groups. Like humans are so tribal. We pick a team: Democrat, Republican, white, black, whatever,
Right, right,
and then
yeah.
you just defend it because that's who your people are. And that's what we see with these kids. And it's like the kids are almost emulating exactly what their parents are doing, but just in a different way with the tools they
Yeah.
have as kids. And so I think that's the point the movie's trying to get across, and I think it does it pretty well, pretty effectively. But the length is the problem, because let me just give an example of stuff where I thought they could have had less. So I found it really repetitive where, so kind of early on or within the first 2 hours, the guy meets the girl. You good?
Yeah, did you hear that cough?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, it said it muted.
Oh, I don't
Oh,
think it is.
fuck.
Anyway,
Okay.
as you're good, you're good. So, this guy, the guy, our main character, younger man, meets this younger girl, but the girl is from this opposing team, opposing. I don't know how they're divided. Opposing
Gang?
gang, clique.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of gangs. So the guys come and rough him up. Hey, don't hang out with one of our girls. Then someone else kind of steps in to break up the fight, and then they run away. And that happens several times. I mean, one time he's
Mm.
able to defend himself a little bit when they're out riding bikes. He kicks one of them in the balls, but we
Yeah.
see this repeat several times. They butt heads, get in a little bit of a scuffle, a slap, a cut. Someone brings a baseball bat, a kick, but then some other person, an adult or someone from the school, walks up and the fight breaks up. We see
Yeah.
that many, many, many times. And I thought, like, on the fourth time, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. I get it. So I think that could have. I think there's like areas that you could have made some cuts. So yeah, so that's my take really. I liked it. I liked it. I couldn't see myself watching it again. I am glad I've seen this, because this is one of those movies, kind of like Cinema Paradiso, that I reviewed earlier this year that I know is a big deal. I know it was huge when it came out in 91. And it's always one where I'm like, oh, one of these days I'll get to it. So, I'm glad. Thank you, Matt, for assigning that one to us. I'm glad I've now seen it and can say that I have watched the whole thing. But yeah, it was just tough. It was just tough to get through, period. 4 hours is a long time.
I
So yeah.
I've got to reach out. I meant to reach out to Matt. Matt, if you are listening, please send me a Facebook message. I want to hear your thoughts on the movie, and
I'd like that too.
how much you hate us for not liking it as much as you did. Um, but I think sometimes it's also expectations.
Definitely.
And I know I had told you like how this worked emotionally for Matt, like and stuff. So yeah. So Matt, if you can, if you're hearing this, if not, I'll reach out and
Yeah,
ask
and
him
then I mean I
his
think
thoughts.
he's got another one that he can
Yes.
assign this month. So
Yes. Exactly. So you can wow, my brain is just turned fucking off today.
I've been
You can
having trouble finding words tonight too, man. But
Yeah, you can subscribe to our Patreon. There's the $5 a month or $10 a month level gets you you
an
get to assign
assignment.
us a movie. So I'll briefly talk about these two, and then we'll get in near the end of this. This is going to be another long episode, but that is okay. It's a Wonderful Knife.
Why'd you
This
watch this?
Because I don't trust your opinion. This is
That's what I
an
wanted to hear.
This is an incredible movie. And
Really?
how dare you shit on this movie? No, I'm kidding. This is the fucking worst movie of the year. This is about a girl, and they're in this shitty little town called Angel Falls, and the mayor's played very funnily by funnily, is that a word?
Sure. Sure.
Very funny role by Justin Long. He's
Yes.
got like the fake teeth. He's got
Spray tan.
we get through the rest of this. My brain is just off.
Yeah. Alcohol will
Oh,
help.
wake up. Sometimes. Okay. So anyway, so they're in this they're in this town, and Joel McHale plays the father. They've got this perfect little family. Brother who is gay. Well, everyone's gay in this movie apparently.
Right?
Apparently in this town everybody's just gay, which is fine, I guess. The gays have all moved to one little town called Angel Falls. I even wrote down everyone's gay in this movie. um I had to pause it and see how far we were, because in the first 3 minutes of this movie they put in so much exposition.
Oh, it's bad.
They were like, here's the dad, here's his very nice family, here's the mayor, the dad works for the mayor's the worst, his son's the worst, and he has an OnlyFans account, he has a the mayor has a dumb young wife. they that's in 3 minutes. They just load you with information. um and they try to set the tone up, and it's like, look, we're quirky, and but
Mm-hmm.
there's not a joke to be had. You can't base your movie on quirk and not have any jokes. There's nothing funny in this movie. And essentially there's this killer. um I mean, they say who the killer is in like the first 20 minutes, because then the main girl kills the killer, and then her life turns to shit. I don't know why her life turned to shit. It just
Right. It
anyway.
doesn't
So
really matter. And
yeah.
even the killer's costume design was stupid. I thought that mask was dumb looking.
Oh really? That's like, I actually liked the character, the mask. I didn't think it was an angel, and then that's what they were trying to get at, is that it was a,
That's what I mean. Yeah, if they were
yeah,
trying to say it was an angel, I'm like, this looks nothing like an angel costume.
yeah. Oh, and I love the girl. Oh, I take my camera to parties, and I'm so quirky, and
Right?
and then she's like, she
Yeah.
calls this girl the weird girl the whole movie,
Yeah,
but
she's like you're the weird girl, and it's like, and the weird girl is like trying to play the role of a weird girl.
she's not
It's
weird.
just lame. It's just so cringy. It's
Oh,
and
and
again, like I think I said this, I don't know how this got released into so many theaters.
I don't know either. There's just
But you
dumb
were gonna say
moments.
what?
I can't remember. Just the camera thing bothered me. Look, I bring my full, not like even like a little digital or anything. She just brings her full camera to parties where they sit on the ground, and like there's these parties that just look awful. It's just really bad.
There
So
wasn't enough people at the parties. It looked like a
no,
set with like 2 or 3 streamers on the ceiling. It's like there was like a bartender in the basement.
yeah, and like
It,
and weird, yeah, and people are just standing around, and she's just taking pictures of people standing around, and this
and did you notice that moment that I pointed out where she shows up at the door of her family's house in the alternate universe and
right.
convinces them that she is their daughter, and he has no other questions. He's just like, "Okay, come upstairs."
Well, the
He's not
dad
like,
doesn't, but everyone else
"Yeah, I guess
doesn't. She
when she comes downstairs, the people do like start asking, but
right?
the dad's not like shocked by this. He's just like, "Okay, let's talk about what you want to talk about." Instead of like,
Yeah,
"What do you
it
mean?
was
How could
just
this happen?"
so poorly made, and I think it just kind of fails on every level. I gave it half a star. Um,
Yeah, I need
even
to lower mine. I gave it 1.
even with Justin Long's cool performance and there's some good kills. Other than that, please skip this movie. I can't stand a movie that has terrible characters, and this movie just has awful, awful characters. Um,
Yeah, it's so bad.
yeah. So, anyways, I saw Orca. This is from 1977. It stars Richard Harris, who went on to play Dumbledore in the first 2 Harry Potter movies, and then he died. And then it stars a very young Charlotte Rampling.
Holy crap. That is
What?
crazy. Charlotte
It,
Rampling.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I
You
can't
should.
believe how young she looks.
Oh,
Oh
you
my
looked up a
God.
picture?
Yeah, right. Because I remember her from like Benedetta and Red
Mm-hmm.
Sparrow and
Mm-hmm.
Dune, our
And
beloved
Dune.
Dune.
Yeah. So, and she's got like you can obviously tell by the eyes that it's Charlotte
Oh
Rampling.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. There's
I'm
also
shocked.
yeah. Bo Derek's first role is in this, and then Robert Carradine, Will Sampson. Um, it's essentially a Jaws remake. You know, excuse me. So it's called Orca, the killer whale, and it there's some good stuff at the beginning because it's a male orca and he's tracking down these people who killed his wife. Um, they're whalers and they pull the female orca on board. Then they find out in a kind of a horrific way, which is actually really good practical effects. The whale was literally just about to give birth, and so the baby whale comes out of the whale, and that's
Hmm.
hanging from one of those hangers where they hang fish or
Yeah,
sharks or
yeah.
something.
Yep.
Obviously, Jaws was released 2 years prior. This was a box office bomb. I read stories about Agostino Dino De Laurentiis is the director. He he was sure that this would be a hit, uh, and when it wasn't, there are stories of him standing in the theater going, "Why does nobody like my orca movie? Why does nobody like my whale movie?" And he was just so
That
upset.
reminds me of Anderson's story about Inarritu saying, "You're ruining my movie."
Yeah, right, yeah, exactly. This guy's made a lot of movies. He directed. Oh no, yeah. So he's made a lot of movies, but anyways, um, this movie takes place in Nova Scotia, which was really interesting. The uh, in a movie where where your main your killer is limited to water. Um, it's kind of interesting how close everything is to water. Like the people that killed the female, they literally live on the water, like their house is on sticks. So the orca is like attacking the house and brings it down, and the deaths are just so poorly done. It was interesting because there's a scene where the mate of the dead whale is pushing the female whale with its nose around, and everybody thought that was just kind of but literally a few years ago there was a footage of a female pushing its dead calf around, which shows how smart these animals actually are. And then there's last thing I want to say. This is one line that made me laugh. Have you seen the polar ice? It can cut right through a boat like this. The person, and then the guy turns around. He's like, "Yeah, well, ice cuts both ways." So I don't know if he meant like they're gonna push the orca into the iceberg and kill it. I don't know. But it's not really good. I gave it 1 star. There's some interesting stuff, and a little piece of history. But yeah, let's get into what's coming to theaters.
You gave it 2 stars.
Did I give it 2 stars? It's better. It's better than it needed to be. I'll just say that.
I'm just keeping you honest.
And there's some good actual footage of orcas and stuff. So I'm gonna pull another one from the box. So we got A Hidden Life by Justin Knoll, or not by Justin Knoll, but he put it in the box. It's from 2019, so that'll be the next movie I watch. I think this is one I've been meaning to watch.
I loved this movie.
Yeah, is it Robert Pattinson? Is it that one?
No, but it looks like Robert Pattinson. This is a Terrence Malick movie.
Right. Okay, I do gotta see more of his movies. So, yeah, so that's cool. All right, thanks, Justin. I will watch that.
Cool. Yeah, since this is one I've seen, I can review it with you.
Cool. So what is coming to streaming? Do you want to do that?
Yeah. So December 5th, Killers of the Flower Moon finally comes. That's today.
Yeah. Apple TV Plus.
On Apple TV Plus, yep. And then Showing Up, directed by Kelly Reichardt, who did First Cow, which stars Michelle Williams. That's on Paramount Plus. I did not like this movie at all. Oh, I hated this movie. It was pretentious art people from Portland, Oregon. Michelle Williams' character is, oh God, just tiring, exhausting.
So look forward to that.
But critics love this movie. Critics love Kelly Reichardt. I think in my review I wrote, I guess I'm just not that big of a Kelly Reichardt fan because I wasn't too crazy about First Cow either. So, but it did come out earlier this year. It did get a lot of critical praise. That's Showing Up on Paramount Plus on Friday. December 8th, we have Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Christmas Cabin Fever. I think we talked about this last week, maybe. No, it was a different Christmas animated.
Yeah,
version.
You did tell me. Yeah, this is animated.
Yeah, this is on Disney. It was the Bad Guys Christmas special.
Yes.
So this is on Disney Plus. Leave the World Behind. This one I really am looking forward to. People in my circle, either my parents or friends, someone asked me about this. I hadn't heard about it. It comes out on Netflix. Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke. Centers on a family who rents a home for vacation, only to be surprised when the owners show up and tell them that something might be going seriously wrong in the outside world. Sounds like Shyamalan's The Cabin in a way.
Knock on the Cabin.
Knock on the Cabin, yeah. Yeah, that looks interesting. I hope it's in a theater near me, or I might just have to watch it at home. But that one looks good.
And they've really kept this one under wraps.
Yeah,
I barely knew it was coming out, but that's Netflix, right? They hardly advertise.
And then Mr. Monk's Last Case. This is Peacock, based on a TV show Monk, starring Tony Shalhoub. And Baby Shark's Big Movie coming to Paramount Plus. I imagine that has to. Is that based on the Baby Shark song?
Yeah, don't even kid. I know you've been waiting for this. You haven't stopped talking about this. I know you hope this will be in theaters near you.
The reason
Um,
I'm laughing is just because they will make a movie out of anything that is ever remotely even close to popular, and they will do it way too long after it's peaked. Let me give an example.
mhm.
The Angry Birds movie. That was a huge game. The movie came out 10 years after the fucking game came out. And it did, I guess the first one did okay, but then the second one didn't, and they were terrible movies. So it's like Baby Shark, that was like a massive hit. I think it has over 1 billion views on YouTube like 10 years ago. It's the
Yeah.
meme has died. So good luck, Paramount Plus.
If this had come out within a year of that Baby Shark thing, like it could have been a huge hit. I
Huge.
don't understand why studios like they wait so long. I guess it's the rights and this and that, but whatever.
Or like Five Nights at Freddy's, although that one did fine, but that 8 years after they started talking
Yeah.
about making a movie for it. So
I don't know.
all right, and then coming to theaters, Poor Things. I will be seeing this immediately. Been waiting for this. This is Yorgos Lanthimos starring Emma Stone. I heard it's actually there's a critic on YouTube who I don't like very much named Grace Randolph. And I think I heard her say that I don't like her for many reasons. One of the reasons I don't like her, she's so very prude in her movie watching. So any
Mm,
movie with sex or nudity in it, she complains about. And I heard her say that this movie should have been NC-17. So that just has me even more excited to see this.
yeah.
Um, the Boy and the Heron. This was a festival darling. It actually was in theaters, I think, tonight, being the 5th,
Oh,
for IMAXs only for one night, and then it'll come out this weekend. Um, it's a Studio Ghibli, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. Everyone should know that name, at least have heard of it. Waitress, the
I
music. Go ahead.
sorry. I just have a feeling that it'll win animated. Uh,
Definitely, good call. I think this
I
is
know
going to be up for it.
it has to go up against Spider-Man, but I feel like this is supposedly Miyazaki's last movie. He is saying he said this before, but and critics are loving it. I see them kind of giving it to him. Um,
You should check the odds and put
I
a
know.
bet on this if you feel
Even if I
that's
put like
strong.
even if I put like $100 down, I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyways,
All right, and then Waitress the musical. This is for 5 nights only in theaters. I don't know anything about this, Mitch.
I just love Sarah Bareilles, and this is based on a movie that came out like 20 years ago called Waitress with Kerry Russell.
Hmm.
It's like a romantic comedy. Sarah Bareilles helped write the music for a musical. I'm a huge fan of hers. Unfortunately, I will not be able to see it in theaters, but she has one of the best voices of our generation. So,
Okay.
yeah, check it out.
Origin. This is directed by Ava DuVernay. This is in limited release. This one does look pretty interesting. It has Anjanou Ellis in it. I know it has John Bernthal
Yeah,
and Vera Farmiga, I think.
yeah.
Connie
Haven't heard enough
Nielsen,
about it.
Nick Offerman. There's a huge cast to this. And I haven't heard anything about this either, except its title, Ava DuVernay, and that people are liking it. And I like John Bernthal, and I haven't seen him recently, so
Yeah.
it's good to see him back in movies. Next one is The Cello. I don't know anything about this one.
An aspiring cellist learns that the cost of his cello is a lot more insidious than he thought. I don't
Okay.
know it. Yeah, I don't know.
Then The Oath, which I don't know anything about.
Yeah, me neither. But the Oath. If anyone out there is excited for the Oath, I'll look it up. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, it's set in 400 A.D. in a forgotten time of ancient America. A
Oh,
lone
this is
Hebraic fugitive must. Yeah,
this looks like an Angel Studios religious movie.
yeah. Billy Zane.
Yep.
So yeah. Um, it just looked like it was going to a lot of theaters, so I
Yeah, it
thought I'd
is.
include it.
Yep. And then The Abyss is doing a one night limited engagement, which I just bought a ticket to. So I'll be seeing it tomorrow at 6 p.m. I cannot wait. It's showing in the
Yeah.
Dolby Theater. This is exciting because Mitch, I'll steal your thunder here. This hasn't been available to watch anywhere, let alone in an IMAX or a Dolby Theater. It's one of James Cameron's earlier movies. This is a great movie. I saw it when I was a kid. My mom loves this movie. I can't wait to see it again.
Is she gonna see it with you?
I should invite her.
Huh.
Yeah, good call. I should invite her.
I love this movie too. I remember it was like one of those first movies I saw where I was young. I was like, wow, this movie's like a little bit beyond me, like a little deeper than the kid
Yeah,
stuff I usually watch, and I loved it. Like I was so, and I've watched it a few times since, but unfortunately, it hasn't been re-released since it was on DVD. Um,
right.
so it is only you could buy it on DVD, but it hasn't been on Blu-ray or 4K. And Cameron has finally opened up the vault, and in the next few months or next year, The Abyss and True Lies and some of his other movies will finally be on Blu-ray. So
All right, so then the box office game we do. We bet last week on Beyonce Renaissance's opening weekend for North America, and we were both way off.
but you still won.
But I still won. I bet 49 million. You bet 69 million. The true number was like 22 or 21 point something. So that means I get to assign Mitch a movie. I'm going to give you a choice, Mitch, because I'd like you to see both of these eventually, but I think it's easier if you have a choice. So the aforementioned City of God
Okay.
would be a cool one. Or the other one is New Order. I think I've mentioned it to you before. It's Mexican movie that got a lot of backlash in Mexico because the way it portrayed Mexicans. It's the same guy that made Sundown from 2019 or 2020. This movie is violent and has some shocking imagery in it, but it is cool and fucked up, and I just loved it. I saw it in the theater once, and then I watched it again at home. It's, I think, short. I think it's only 90 minutes, maybe even less than that, 85 minutes.
Well, you sold me there, but
It's really good, but brutal, brutal. And so I'll just tell you what it's about. It's about rich people in Mexico. They're having a wedding party, even though there's a bunch of riots and stuff happening outside and around them, but
what's it
they're
called
wealthy.
again?
They have secure New Order or Nuevo Orden, which is the Spanish title. But New Order should pull it up. New Space Order.
Okay.
There's riots and unrest going on around them, but they have security. They have gated community. But all of a sudden, that riots and shit spill into the party, and these people are dangerous. They'll kill whoever's there. They rob. They kidnap for ransom. They sexually assault people. It's really, really, really bad people. And it's just kind of like, I think the message of the director is like showing this is how bad the cartel situation is in Mexico. And again, it got hella backlash. The director got really dragged through the mud because Mexicans didn't like the way they were portrayed here. So, and then
Huh.
City of God, you know about that one.
Yeah, I think I'm. You know what? I was gonna do City of God, but you talked me into New Order. I will see New Order because I know that I would probably never see New Order,
Right.
and City of God is on my watch list, and I will be watching maybe
That
next
eventually.
year, hopefully. So I'll do New Order.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and same as you. Like, I don't think I'm going to assign you a movie that you won't like. At least
Yeah,
not this stage in the podcast. Maybe once we start hating each other. But I
yeah.
think you'd like this one. And again, it's short. It's like 85 minutes.
Okay. Um. So yeah. So we're gonna. I think later in the week we'll record
Yeah, I was
our
going to say,
Patreon
let's do
episode. We're
that. We
not
can do it
gonna.
tomorrow or Thursday.
Yeah, we got lots of time. So we will have the Patreon episode up. But first, let's. What do you think? We're gonna. What am I trying to say?
We'll bet on Poor Things.
Yes, Poor Things. What do you think will be the opening
So,
weekend domestically?
do you have a number already?
Yes.
All right, give me a second to think. Poor Thing. All right, I've got one.
Okay.
All right, so I think it'll make only 8 million.
Oh my God, I was gonna say 8 million. Okay. I'll go 11 million then. That
Okay.
was my first guess was 11. So and then I was like, no,
11
no,
was
8.
my first too.
That's funny. Okay.
I swear to God,
So
I was gonna go 11, then I'm like, oh, it's such a small movie.
yeah,
I'll be like 8. Let's go 8.
you said I said 11. You said 8. Okay.
Yep.
And then we will have the Patreon episode too. And then yeah. So thanks everyone for listening. Ant has to work tomorrow morning. I have to work tomorrow evening.
Yep. Yeah, and I will say this, so I will, before next episode, I will be seeing The Abyss. And then Silent Night came out last weekend, is when I'm going to see Joel Kinnaman, or not Joel
Yep.
Kinnaman. Yeah, Joel Kinnaman.
Yep.
I should have seen that by now. I did stuff Friday and Saturday nights this past weekend. So I'm going to try and get to that this week at least. And then, of course, Poor Things. So I should have a good slate of new movies to talk about next week.
I'm gonna watch a couple of IndieWire's the movies they had on their list that I hadn't
Cool.
seen. So
Cool.
I'll have some interesting maybe movies that you haven't heard about that may be good or maybe bad. So
Oh, and another thing too, Mitch, next week in the news segment, maybe we can talk about the Independent Spirit Awards. I think their nominations came out.
did they? Oh, I didn't see that. I
I
usually
think, and
pay
that's all.
attention
Yeah,
to
those awards. Those are always a
yeah,
good ones to check out.
I agree. Okay. So check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. My link tree has everything, but all of these are down in the show notes below. So thank you for listening. We will talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Hollywood Persona podcast. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at The Hollywood Persona. Feel free to email the show at thehollywoodpersona@gmail.com and make sure to rate, share, and follow on whatever platform you're listening to our show on. It's the little things that help. Thank you.
And you little shithead, you're staying here.